Ken, are you okay?
Hmm?
Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah. No, dude, I wrote Canvas all day. My brain's all fucked up.
Okay. All right. You just look mad confused right now. It's pretty funny.
I'm so fucking angry.
All right. All right. Welcome to the Undefined podcast. I'm Jared Palmer.
And I'm Ken Wheeler.
And today we have a very, very special guest, our homie Nader Dabit.
What's up?
What's going
Thanks
on,
for having
Nader?
me. Not much. Chilling. What's up?
You are a developer advocate at AWS,
Yes.
working on the Amplify team.
Yeah, the mobile team. And the mobile team, we have Amplify, we have AppSync, Device Farm, a couple of other things.
What platforms does that support?
Pretty much all the platforms now. Like it used to be just mobile. So they used to only kind of support native iOS and native Android. But, we've now expanded. Now we do web, React Native, all that shit. It's kind of hard for me to focus with you drinking straight out of the Cuervo bottle.
Sorry, dog. This is America.
Welcome to the Undefined podcast.
Precisely.
Time for a drink check. Nader, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking beer. I'm drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. I
Classic.
had to
Fucking
run
hipster.
next door and grab some beer because I don't keep the fifths of liquor in my office like some people.
I went upstairs and got it out of the kitchen.
I am sipping on that Grey Goose from the club.
Nice.
Very nice. And I got some Cuervo here. I don't know. I mean, it was the only thing. Liquor doesn't stick around long in my house, so I had to go up there and see what I had. There was like a quarter bottle of Cuervo left. As soon as we finish this podcast, I'm going to the liquor store. What do you guys think?
Classic. We were sipping wine all week in Paris.
Yeah. Paris was nice. We missed you there.
Yeah, we missed.
Yeah.
you.
Damn. Fuck you guys.
I think I was there for like 6 days. It was my longest trip there.
Did you guys do all the things?
Yeah.
We so you guys went to Versailles, right?
Not together,
Yeah.
but we went independently. Yeah.
Yeah, we left and like I'm following Jared on Instagram and like he told me he was leaving the next day, and then like 4 days later he's like still in Paris. Like when did you leave?
I got back Tuesday. Stay for another like 3 days past my stay. But I got to go to Versailles and I got to go to a bunch of museums, and like I went to LVMH. That was awesome. The Louis Vuitton Foundation is just like super cool.
Dude, that one thing, it was like a fucking a bunch of like art exhibits in a room or some shit that you had on Instagram. That shit was fucking sick. What was that?
That was the Louis Vuitton. That was okay. So there are two museums that I went to. The first museum with like the infinite mirrors and shit. That was the Louis Vuitton Foundation. And that's just a really awesome, like the building itself is designed by Frank Gehry. It's a gorgeous museum. If you're in Paris, like the Louvre is cool and like you got to go see the Mona Lisa and shit. But the next stop is the Louis Vuitton Foundation. That museum is fucking awesome. Then the last day I was there, I went to Centre Pompidou, and that is a modern and contemporary art museum. It's like the equivalent of like the MoMA in New York, but in Paris. And that's where I was doing like basically looking. That's where I was like taking video on Instagram, and it was pure nightmare fuel.
That place looked crazy. Is that the one that has that big tube on the outside of it?
Yeah, it's the one with the big tube on the outside. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, there was very cool stuff there. Saw Picasso's, Matisse, like Chagall, like like amazing modern artists, and then also they had the entire contemporary gallery as well. So that's where that was like pretty weird, like Otto Dick stuff and like I don't know, just bizarro stuff. It was just fucking weird. But it was great. I mean, it was art, right? Like,
Did you buy any more art for your house while you were
no,
there?
I didn't buy any more art.
Nader, do you know that Jared buys art?
No, I did not know that.
Do you buy art?
I have art here. Let me show you some of my art. Actually, I'm in my office with all of my art. This is from my boy William Goodman. He's like a local artist. I have like 4 of his paintings.
That's dope.
I bought them like 10 years ago.
Dude,
About it, though.
so basically what we're saying is that you don't buy art, and thus like it's totally normal to buy art.
I create art. I don't know if you can see over my right shoulder here,
Yeah,
but that is a Chuck Norris poster.
it is a Chuck, but printed
Okay.
out on 8.5 by 11s.
Individual pages
Individuals.
taped together. If that's not art, then I don't know what is.
Have you been to the Hudson Yards in New York? into that mall.
Yeah.
Have you seen that art gallery? Like when you walk upstairs, it's to the right.
I have not.
It's crazy.
Is it
Like
good?
if you're ever there, go check it out. They have some really cool artwork, and it's not like traditional art. It's like really like modern, like cool looking stuff.
I actually prefer traditional art. I want to see sculptures and shit.
I did plenty of that too. I went to the Louvre, and I saw like Michelangelo's sculptures, and it was so interesting to see. There were I forgot what they're called, like the slaves or something like that. Anyways, he was like 28. He was commissioned to do these 2 sculptures that were going to go in the outside of some very famous person's grave, basically. And he ended up never really finishing them because he was like commissioned to go do like the Sistine Chapel and shit. I mean, of course, that's Sistine Chapel and shit. He's commissioned to do the Sistine Chapel. But anyways, these 2 sculptures are the most remarkable stone human being. There's like these muscular dudes are in these weird shapes, and you're just like, holy shit, this dude just like chiseled away at this it's just remarkable. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. But yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. That shit is dank.
Fucking awesome. Cause you're just like, how in the world could you? And then what was also interesting, so my mom was a designer, and she was telling me about, she's like pretty classically trained. She's telling me about, and I was FaceTiming her, and she's like, look at the feet. Like the feet of like Michelangelo used to do this thing where the feet of his sculptures were not actually like anatomically proportioned. So he'd actually make their legs and feet like gigantic, like just because it made it look more dope. And so like when you see this, so like you only will notice if someone called it out. But like I was like, oh shit, Mom, like that's crazy. Like those feet are huge relative to like the rest of it. But like because it's 8, 9 feet tall, like it looks cooler. I don't know. It was just really interesting.
That's fucking dope, dude.
You could spend like an entire month in that place.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You could just do that for an entire week and not even make a dent in it.
So when we were there, we went to the Louvre. We went to, Versailles. We did you see in the Louvre there was like a statue? There's like 4 guys standing naked, and they're like in a circle, and they're looking down like at their junk.
No,
like each other's or their own.
Like they were checking
their own.
Their own.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Okay, no,
it was a cock measuring contest.
Basically, like a medieval or whatever. Like
they were recording their own Undefined podcast.
That's sick.
Something like that.
That's awesome.
Were you guys drinking at the Frog?
I did not indulge at the Frog. First of all, there are many frogs in Paris, but not that one.
The Bercy
What's
Frog.
the deal with the Frog?
I don't know. It's just, I guess, the place where everybody drinks.
It's like the chain, I guess, in Paris.
Is that right?
Yeah, everyone was going there. We never went there.
Yeah.
That's like the drinking place where I guess historically people have gone.
Yeah. There was this one spot. I was with my friend who lives in Paris, and we passed it. And I think the restaurant was called the Philosophes. Anyway, like Thomas Jefferson and Napoleon have eaten there, and it's been around there forever. And that's like its claim to fame, that like all these like important people in history have had a meal there. It was cool.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Did you guys go to that quarter? What is it called? Like the Spanish Quarter or some shit?
The Latin Quarter?
Latin Quarter, that's right.
Yeah, that place is cool. We walked through there. We ate crepes. We chilled. We went inside the bookstore there. I forgot the name of it. The Shakespeare bookstore.
That place fucking rules.
Yeah, it's a cool area.
You guys go to that big-ass park? It's like a park that has like these big-ass bushes and shit and chairs and you drink wine.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It was fucking chill, dude. When I went with my wife, dude, we just rolled up on this park. And
I think the one you're talking about is the one where the Louis Vuitton Foundation's in that park. I forgot what it's called though.
It's probably over there, but there was like a concert band playing like fucking some song that Dr. Dre sampled. So I bought this wine and we like sat at this table and like I was like, oh, this is my shit. We got all fucked up in the middle of the day in the middle of this park. It was crazy.
Sounds dope. Sounds enjoyable. The weather was so nice the whole week.
Really?
It was.
It was great.
I went to Paris with my wife too about 3 years ago, and it was like in June. So it was like a month after we just went, right? But it was during the 100-year flood. So it was like the worst week that you could have possibly gone. And then on top of that, it was like 20 degrees colder than it usually is. So it was like in the 40s and 50s and raining the entire time, right in the smack middle of the summer. And Louvre was closed. The river was overflowing, so our boat ride got canceled. Kind of sucked. We still had
It does
fun.
so.
Brutal. Did you do any shopping when you were there?
Not this time. Not really, no. Everything's too expensive in Paris for me.
Ken, did you go to do any shopping when you were there last?
I'm trying to remember. We got some shit, but nothing remarkable.
Yeah, it was pretty. I went to Galerie Lafayette, which is the Bloomingdale's. I did like the Marais, which is like the hip like Soho-y area now. I just was not impressed with the shit. I went to Supreme. Like I tried, I went for it.
You didn't get any Supreme shit.
Did not. I mean, no, but that's because I'm getting old. I went into Supreme and I was like,
have you ever bought Supreme?
Like one maybe. I don't know. I was like, this looks cool, but like
it's so expensive. Like I went to a Supreme store in Switzerland, and first of all, there's like a waiting line like to get inside. You have to wait in line and shit. And then when you get inside, the t-shirts are like $2,000.
God damn.
Yeah, there's some dumb shit there for sure. I guess like I was just looking for. I don't know what I was looking for. I was like, this could be a cool place to go. I don't know. Like, what does Supreme Paris look like? To be fair, like. You raise a very good point. I don't think I really frequent Supreme anyways, but occasionally, like I
wonder if all the people that we see like wearing Supreme, do they really spend that much money on that, or is that like fake
fuck
stuff?
no, dude? If you buy it off
Probably
the
fake,
Supreme
dude.
website, it's not that much.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, if you go on like StockX, dude, you could get a fucking Supreme backpack for like $300.
oh okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not even like that. Yeah, if it's 2,000, dude, it's some weird ass markup because it's a rare one or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So you know what I did get today
What'd you
in
get?
the mail?
What?
A fucking tank top that says Space Force on it.
Oh my gosh,
Fucking sick.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I ordered my 4th of July shit today, and I ordered this shirt from that store that you posted, Oaf Nation or whatever, or something like that. And I don't know if it was that one, but whatever. It's got 2 fighter jets and one's inverted, and it says like foreign relations.
Nice.
Oh God, fucking I love that movie.
Dude, there was another one that was on there that was fucking sick. I forget what it was.
Dude, the Dick Wolf one is pretty fucking
The
good.
Dick Wolf one is lit, dude. Hold on.
Have you seen this site?
No, I have no fucking clue what you're
Holy
talking about
shit!
right
There's this site that's just like super like super ridiculous, pretty right wing, honestly, like Americana, and just like ridiculous t-shirts, and there's some really funny ones.
Okay, so there's 2 tank tops that I have in my cart from there. One of them is like the skeleton. It's all like vaporwavy. It's got like like the sun that's like segmented.
Sure.
It's like that with a skeleton in front of it with like Ray-Bans on, and it says "Where the hose at," but hose is spelled HEAUX. S, like where the hose at. And then the other one is the same skeleton in front of like a palm tree, one of those suns, and it says "Good times and bad decisions."
Okay.
So speaking of like weird, like crazy right-wing clothing, my cousin lives in Savannah, Georgia, and he's like our family's in the clothing business. So like we have all these clothing stores, right? But typically they sell like suits and stuff to people that go to church, right? So, but their building in Savannah, Georgia, became gentrified in a gentrified area. So now it's like a bunch of like, people like that are traveling, like coming there to like do sightseeing a little bit. There's like high-end stores like popping up. So they basically opened up this store for like I don't know what you would call them, like preppy people. So they sell like I don't know the names of these brands, but like the polos and like the button downs. But they have this line of T-shirts that are like super crazy right wing. Like if I saw this, I would probably like be like, "What the fuck? Are you really wearing this shit?" But like one of the T-shirts has like Donald Trump like dunking a basketball on Hillary Clinton, and like a bunch of shirts like that. It's crazy. Have you seen that stuff?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's apparently like a thing.
I almost bought a Speedo at Ronald Reagan on it the other day. It's his fucking face on the dick.
Is that
incredible?
Is that flattery? Like, is that like I don't even know if it's like.
I think it's just dope.
Okay, yeah.
It's just dope. Like I don't know if it's like disrespectful or not. I don't really give a shit. I just think it's funny.
And now I have the image of Ken in a Speedo. And now all of you do.
Oh, dude, you don't know about the wolf Speedo?
The wolf Speedo.
I think I remember that happening.
I very vaguely remember this.
I still have that Speedo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ken, what are you working on this week, man?
I'm working on some Canvas shit, boy.
Yeah?
Dude, I did the sickest shit, man. We had this, as far as, rendering a lot of things, React fucking sucks.
Yeah,
so
you were saying that someone was like, "Oh, you did it in React," and you're like, "No."
No, I did it in Canvas. So the whole app's React, but for this part, I just break out and just take the props and go to Canvas with it. And if you were to render all these things in React, it would be it was 900 millisecond render.
Are you managing it with one use effect and you just do shit with it?
Yeah. Well, no, I have a bunch of different things going on in there, right? But the actual thing that I'm rendering, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 700, 800 cells.
So you render one canvas element and then you go fuck with it in the DOM?
Actually,
yeah.
I do some pretty wild optimization. So I render 3 canvases. All right. There's one canvas, and that's the background canvas, right? So the background doesn't change much. It's like a grid,
mm-hmm.
right? It's like imagine a grid lines and mm-hmm. like grids. So that only changes if the width changes, or if anything that would affect the layout of that grid. So that very rarely updates, right? You just draw that. Then I have a second canvas, right? That's absolutely positioned on top of it. So you do canvas layering, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of the different cells and their statuses and shit get rendered to that, right? So the way that this shit is drawn on there is batching. There's a lot of ways you can optimize Canvas by not fucking with its state machine too much, and then batching them.
Okay.
And then if you have to draw a grid of fucking 800 squares, right? You don't draw 800 squares, right? You draw fucking 16 vertical lines and 16 horizontal lines or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that sort of thing. And then the third canvas is actually crazy. It's whenever you want to do drag and drop.
Mm-hmm.
So the parent canvas container gets drop events or drag events rather. So anytime you want to have that, you ever start dragging, right? And you want that little ghost drag image.
You want the image you want a new image when you're dragging that does shit while you're dragging it, and you want it, then you drop.
Oh no, you ever drag something and you see the ghost fucking image that follows your cursor. Yeah. So if you put a canvas on top of another canvas, and you use that canvas, even if there's nothing in it, right? Even if there's nothing in that canvas, if you use that canvas to do a set drag image, on the drag start event. Right, it'll take a fucking slice out of whatever it's on top of.
Oh, that's cool.
So that little canvas, I just position to the shit that I'm dragging and take a little snapshot of that bitch off of the canvas, and then I get my clean little ghost image from this main big ass.
Dude, how tight are canvas snapshots? I fucking love that.
It's very, very gangster. But dude,
nothing else works like nothing else works like that.
I have no idea what is a canvas snapshot.
It's you can you could draw shit. Right, like you would with imagine you're doing move to line 2, fill in rectangle or some shit like that, right? You're drawing something, then you can transfer it to image data,
and then you basically can grab once you complete the path or whatever you want of it, you can just be give me that image, and it will basically take imagine you just grabbed that out of whatever the bottom of it was. You can just use that as an image now.
Is it an image as in a .png, or is it just an image?
You actually set it to whatever the fuck you want, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You specify it when you grab it.
In order to do in-browser image manipulation, you actually use Canvas to rotate, and the way you do I've done this before. I did an image uploader that was Instagram style. So you have an image, and oftentimes there's this weird fucking bug when you do mobile web uploads in Safari where sometimes the image exif data positions it flipped or upside down. And so you want to allow your users to reposition the image. And there's a naive way of doing it where you redraw the image with Canvas every time, and you fuck with exif data to do the switch and rotation. But a better way to do that is to actually keep it in state, do a CSS transform to show the actual different applications. And then when you're done, you take whatever the state changes and you render to Canvas. You make you paint with Canvas once, and then you grab the image out of it again, you like grab a new image, and then that's the image that's positioned correctly. So similar situation, like you just draw something new and you can grab an image out of it, but it's like very fucking useful for shit.
It's the way it's done.
It's
fucking
awesome.
Outstanding. Yeah, like anytime you want to do any kind of modification of imagery,
You need to use
Canvas is a great way to do it.
I actually don't even know how you would do it otherwise. I mean, maybe like SVG filters or something like
Yeah,
that.
but you would still
know.
need to canvas it to take a screenshot of it.
Exactly. You'd still like yeah, exactly.
But yeah, dude, I can't even tell you the perf wins that I got.
What were you trying to do it with before? Just React.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was like, okay, right? But then like you hit things with certain scale, and
it was 800. It's 800 cells with animation, and they update a lot.
I mean,
right?
it depends. Yeah, I mean, it depends. It could be like 7,000 cells.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the reason that this is faster is that you're basically using like the GPU as opposed to like re-rendering things in the browser? Or?
It's actually the React component lifecycle, which is a lot of the overhead. So rather than like having like all these things that are getting like reconciled and shit, right? Like you just fucking drawing. It's just a bunch of like length cached for loops, and you're just drawing shit. And yeah, dude, like shit that would crash the browser in the old way is buttery ass smooth in the new way.
So does this mean that there's an opportunity for someone to kind of build an abstraction to start using these things without having to kind of roll their own?
Well, see, there's the problem because like I've tried to build that abstraction, right? That React to Canvas thing.
Yeah, you've been talking about
and
that for a while.
The component lifecycle overhead makes it not worth it, right? Like you can't hit those perf marks,
right?
And like it's really hard to abstract around doing it because a lot of the time you have to like really like fucking artisanally figure out how to draw it, right? Like depending on what you're drawing, you have different optimization opportunities because you batch things based upon like their commonality, right? So if a bunch of things are like the same color, right, you'll draw them all together or something like that. Or if a bunch of things use the same font or font size, you'll batch that all together. But again, right, like there's no concept of z-index here. So I mean, if you're not layered and you draw two things, one over the other, whichever one comes second takes precedence, right? So you also need to take that order into account.
Which is tough with React too, because of like all the re-rendering and shit.
Yeah, I mean, in React it's fine when I use my React abstraction, right? Because like if things are in a hierarchical tree,
yeah, that's true.
Then fucking it's safe to say that, you know, if you have one that comes after the other one without a z-index attribute, it's gonna be over it, right? But if you do have a z-index attribute, what you need to do is you need to start managing them with levels, and then draw certain ones at certain levels, right? When you're doing the pass through the level, it's a very hard thing to write like a abstraction that solves every use case around.
Makes sense.
I could do like good enough, but like you'll get 3-4 times the perf if you just draw the shit.
Crazy.
Bananas. Yeah, but that's what I've been doing all week, man. And you know.
Nader, what about you, man? You were traveling. You were in SF. What were you doing in SF, man?
Yes. So yesterday we did a workshop for the startup accelerators. There was like 3 of them. So there was Y Combinator, and then there was like 2 other ones. One of them was Stanford's startup accelerator, and the other one I couldn't remember the name of it. It's some other startup accelerator there in San Francisco. So I pretty much like flew out there yesterday morning. I flew back last night, red eye, and I landed, and I jumped on a podcast this morning. Then I did a few calls and worked a little bit today, and now I'm doing this podcast.
We're your second podcast of the day.
We're like, oh my
You're giving me sloppy seconds right now, Nader?
Basically, yeah.
Seconds.
We had a nice talk on GraphQL patterns about the Schema Federation stuff that was released. I'm kind of curious what you think about that. But
you mean service discovery? The Apollo thing? Yeah, I saw it demoed at Apollo Day. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the next iteration of what schema stitching is or something like that.
Yeah, that's what they said. Or it's not schema stitching, but it's like different than that. I don't know. I think it's cool.
Can I just interject? I love that you say red eye the same way you say API.
Anything with an I. Yeah, so people like leave comments and shit on my YouTube videos about this stuff.
About API?
Leave negative reviews of my Egghead videos.
Do they really?
Yeah, well, not when I say reviews, there's only been one, but he gave me a 1-star review.
Fucker.
He said all his only comment was he doesn't say API like right or something like that.
At React Europe, I found some motherfuckers that were saying Babel. Oh my god.
Dude, that's a thing. That's a real thing.
Dude, I might have to call him out right now. Mr. Bacon Bricks, fucking Evan Bacon.
He does not say it that way.
Team fucking Babel.
Oh,
No
shit.
way, dude. Bacon says Babel.
Bacon says Babel.
Why don't you need him on your show next week to discuss this in depth?
We need to discuss
kind of
this.
figure out why this happened.
I was just like, dude, like, I don't know, like maybe, I don't know if we could be friends.
Well, have you ever heard someone pronounce CLI CLI?
No, that's not a thing, is it?
You've heard
It is a
that?
thing. It happened.
Get the fuck
It
out
happened to me.
What happened to
when I
you?
was
You slapped
in
him immediately
FJS.
across the face? What happened? What did you?
I don't know. I didn't know how to respond, so I put out a Twitter poll to see if this was like a thing, and I think 90% of the people said no, but I was surprised that 10% said yes. So
Wow.
obviously we're missing out on some like cultural thing.
As a joke? No, not even as a joke. Not even as a joke.
No,
like-
I'm 100% serious. I think it's
It's
like
like dome. It starts saying dome instead of dom. It's like what?
Dome.
I think it's like in the
About
Hispanic
dome?
population. They might say that. I don't know.
What did
They
you
say
say?
Clee?
Clee.
I don't know. I just heard the word dome. Got all pumped.
I know you did get all pumped.
What about you, Jared? What have you been doing this week?
Working on the thing that I haven't talked about that I can't talk about on this podcast, but it's gonna be fucking lit. And working on Formic 2, getting that out. Finally got to use the new scheduler API.
Is that right?
For Formic 2.
Is that something we can use?
Formic 2, yeah, install Formic at next. The scheduler shit's not out yet, but it will be in the next release. I rewrote all of validation from the ground up with like scheduler in mind, and then made it fully backwards compat. So that's cool. Basically, like the wrinkle that I discovered after just thinking more deeply about it was that with the new scheduler, which basically allows you to better coordinate and prioritize updates. When a user is typing, we run validation on change, like on every change event in React. It's really an input event, but a change event in React. So every keystroke, we run validation. But basically, we also update the input, right? Update the value. So the insight was to basically schedule that validation when it's run in a high frequency, like on change or on blur, at low priority, so it doesn't block user input. And then there's also like a way to debounce that as well to add like more. So, and then, but the wrinkle is that not all validation is low priority. A validation before a submit, right, to ensure that the form is valid, that shit's high priority because it should block the user action. So that was the sort of wrinkle there. And anything triggered imperatively, I need to work on that API this week. Like, how should I allow people to trigger high or low priority validation? Or should that just be like something they do? I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
This Formic V2, is it going to have a CLI?
Not yet. Maybe though. I don't know. Probably not. No, it's not. It's just going to be backwards compatible, rewritten with hooks. Yo, one bug hit me pretty bad with hooks this week though. Not bug.
What was it?
So I was trying to
Wait, does it have something to do with some scoped or not scoped, but it has to have something to do with kind of like a subscription or some type of listener?
No, this has to do with like referential equality.
Ah, okay.
Referential equality.
Or just like references, basically. Yeah, references. Or creating new functions. I don't know. Basically what happened was in Formic 1, because it's a class component, the Formic component itself, all the helper methods are just like class instance or like class properties, right? So those are bound immediately to the class. So when you pass them down and they refer to like this.state, they always refer to the instance of state on that particular component. So you pass down these class properties, and when you were to check like, oh, between an update, like handle submit equals handle submit, it would like return true with a strict equality check. But with hooks, because handle submit like calls dispatch multiple times, I can't just pass down dispatch. And basically, because even with React.use callback, certain handlers had dependencies, certain helper methods had dependencies that would basically force them to be created on every like value change. So an example of this was like submit form. Submit form depends on values. And if you wanted to do something like an autosave, which is what I was working on, where you want to like autosave the form every 300 milliseconds, or debounce like however often values change. The problem is that on every single update with hooks, React is going to generate a brand new version of like submit form because values have changed, even with use callback, which is fine if you're just doing like a normal fucking submit, right? But if you're doing this autosave thing and you need to debounce this function, it's not okay. So that was a bit of a bitch. Turns out there's a hook that basically transforms all that shit onto refs with use ref, and it's in the docs. So like this like esoteric thing called like use event callback, and it's usually for like events and shit. But wow, holy fuck, was that annoying? And at the end of the day, like you basically have just reinvented like a class. So
So what do you think about with that? There's a bug that we ran into around closures that has to do with when you're creating a listener or a subscription and use effect, you end up getting the wrong version of the state because you're getting the state that was available when that subscription or when that listener was created.
Yeah.
And the only way to get out of that is to use a reducer, but it's not that apparent, I don't think, when you're just getting started with it. Do you think that's kind of something that's going to bite a lot of people?
I think it probably already has bitten them, or is like,
hell yeah, it's a huge pain in the ass. And then they like fucking use ref, and then you're like, ew, I gotta use fucking stupid ref.
Well, that's basically what is happening for, well, as similar thing, you have to put things on ref. Basically, like instance variables are like, I don't know. It's just like closures are very powerful, but somewhat annoying to work with, I guess, in certain situations.
Yeah.
The dispatch thing is just, I don't know. I also like, I don't buy into the, like, if you expose dispatch as like your API surface, first of all, like you need to coordinate multiple dispatches often, right? And so now you've created like some sort of action creator, in quotes, I'm putting that in quotes, like from a Redux perspective, right? So you pass that shit down, right? But then you have to do the thing that I just described, or like, I don't know, like I feel like exposing dispatch from a library author perspective is like a pretty terrible fucking idea. Like the internal reducer is an implementation detail, in my opinion. That's me. It shouldn't matter. Like, nor should you know about like if I a library consumer, if you told me like, oh, I have to dispatch these actions I have to remember, like, no, that's whack.
So I wonder if there's an opportunity here to kind of create an abstraction on top of the hooks to encapsulate the ease of use state, but with the what use reducer brings to the table as far as having the state available anywhere.
It's weird, right? Because use state is actually calling use reducer internally. It's basically like use reducer 0. Like that's how it works.
I just use like 7 use states.
That's your grind. Yeah. I just default to be fair. Most of our components are super fucking small, I guess, because we've been using suspense for data fetching. So like we don't have a lot of data fetching states and shit like that. But I don't know.
So like all like my that canvas thing.
Yeah.
Almost everything's on the instance.
Yeah.
Because I got so fucking tired of dealing with side effects from state updates that I just store it on the instance.
Yep.
And I don't have any unwanted triggering.
Yeah.
I don't get triggered, man.
You get triggered, bruh.
So triggered right now.
Do you think that ultimately the hooks API is going to be good or bad for React?
I think it'll be good for React.
I think it's a bit, I think for what it's worth, I feel like React had it was like a false sense of security, which was very good potentially for I won't say for beginners, but maybe for like intermediates. I don't know. There's something to like making you feel confident, even if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel one way or the other. It's kind of like it helps in some way, but it also introduces stuff that they're going to have to figure out if they're new to React. So I feel like whatever problems it solves, it introduced an equal number of problems. And for us trying to write documentation at AWS, we're trying to figure out now, should we use the functional components with the hooks or should we fall back to classes? And when we're getting into, we do a lot of GraphQL, so we have to have, different things that show how to work with subscriptions. That's why I brought that up. And we're trying to figure out, should we use reducer and introduce that whole pattern to people that are not only trying to learn our stuff, but they're also trying to now learn what a reducer is and what these hooks are.
Yeah,
Or should we just use classes? And then, when you create a new app now with Create React app, it actually now uses a functional component.
Interesting. Did you see Brian Vaughn's got a PR open on the React repo for use subscription, and also I think he's also mentions in the PR for use fetch. And this would be like it looks like a first class because there's Create subscription, but I've never tried it.
At Nader, do you use Urkel?
I haven't used Urkel in a while, but I'm an Urkel fan. Yeah,
the new Urkel's fucking sick, and I say that having nothing to do with it.
Is it weird to see your baby?
Yeah, today there was like a release of Urkel, and a new and improved release. Oh my gosh, and they have their own website now.
Yeah,
badass.
I think I think it's great because you always hear that joke like, I'm an ideas guy, but I am very much an ideas guy, and I think it's great that some smart people got their hands on it and made it honest, so to say.
Yeah,
they really fleshed it out with the things that it needed.
Did they add caching and normalization or?
Yeah, all this shit. I don't know about normalization, but I mean, in some sense, right? But they have
we lost you, Ken.
These things called exchanges.
Okay.
How about now?
How about meow?
Meow.
Meow. Are you saying meow?
Meow.
Yes. What's the fuck is that?
Happiness in your household.
As he rips the fucking bit of Cuervo. But seriously though, like looking at Urkel and what they've done with it since you left, and the website that's up now, and it's like its own thing now. Do you feel pretty nice about that? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think it's great.
That's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling, dude. It's good to see it get taken to a place that I couldn't take it to personally.
Yeah, I was talking to Vincent Reimer about sort of like just open source in general, and he was like, "Yeah, it becomes if you're not, it's like the goal isn't actually to like have the most popular library. He's like the goal should be to like influence the most popular library." And if you can influence, it's just as good, if not better, than owning it because
you don't have to do the maintenance.
Right, exactly. And then I heard him say that, and I was like, "Fuck."
You're sitting there maintaining all this shit.
Yeah. Well,
No, I mean, I love maintaining as long as I'm still passionate about the project.
True.
If I'm not passionate about the project, I won't even touch it. I'm not passionate about anything right now.
You're just making that dollar bills.
You're passionate about making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what I'm very passionate about, and I feel really good about the direction that's going.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
Dude, getting that paper is pretty sweet. It does also make when that's ultimately your determinant or guiding your compass does often clarify what needs to get done in a very way. Then
I think the older you get, the more paper you care about.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
Yeah. No.
Speaking of paper and getting it, Jared.
Yeah.
What are you doing next week?
What am I doing next week? I'm going to fucking Israel.
Yes, let's hear the deets on that trip.
To go ball out. No, I'm not going to ball out. So,
Nat, are you going too?
No comment. Yes, I'm going, but not with Jared and not at the same time.
Yeah, we're about a week off.
But you two, Jesus Christ!
I'm going to Tel Aviv. I'm flying, not economy.
Wow.
With a client, to go talk about to do some meetings with them, bring them around to some companies, make some intros on their behalf. Talk about some products, some shit that we're building for them. And then I will not be going to the conference that I will not name because of all the stuff that happened around the meetup. And so they were also running the conference in Israel. So I'm not going to that conference. But everybody else apparently on Twitter that I'm friends with is going to be in Israel too. So I'll just hang out with them at night.
Ned, are you going to that conference?
I'm not going to that conference, but Jared, are you going to be scared to like post pictures of being in Israel so you're not associated with that conference?
I'll be honest with you. I'd go to the conference, man, dude. I went to that conference like 2, 3 years ago. That shit was awesome. Israel fucking rules.
Yeah, just like probably not on. Maybe they'll be maybe we'll reconcile our differences.
You guys want to hear a funny story about me in Israel?
Yes, tell us about Ken Wheeler in Israel.
So, what is that thing called? The Western Wall?
That is the name of it.
Yeah. So, we went on like the speaker tour, right? And it's me and Andrew Clark, right? And we're sitting there, and like they make you put on like this little paper yarmulke to walk up to the wall.
Yep.
So we put on our paper yarmulkes, and we're like 10, 20 feet. You gotta like wait your turn. There's like people like
Right.
Having fucking
the wall and stuff.
yeah, they're having like life moments over there and shit.
Yeah, people are crying. It's like big deal.
It's intense. Yeah. So I'm just fucking sitting there chilling, and this like female IDF soldier walked by, like smoking. All right, but with like all the get up and like a machine gun.
Yeah.
And
This is like Ken Wheeler's wet dream.
and I go, Jesus fucking Christ. Andrew looks at me and he like fucking holds his hand out and like points at the wall. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Yeah, I like point at the sky. I'm like, "Sorry about that one, JC."
Dude, he was Jewish, so
He gets it.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, that's a
And
funny
if my
story.
geography is correct, you were like a mile or less away from some very important places where Jesus actually hung out, huh?
Yeah.
I think we probably went to them.
Yeah. It's a cool spot. I went there on birthright in high school, after high school, sorry. I did it's a cool country. It's, tons of problems, but cool country. Also the when you do see a very, very attractive IDF soldier at age 19, well, we all know what happens next. Anyways.
Yeah, I read a book called Startup Nation, and it's about Israel. Great. Oh yeah, you know that book.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal book.
That was a super interesting book, and I learned so much about the Israeli business culture and why they're so successful. And I learned a lot about their military as well, believe it or not, because there's quite a bit in the book about it. But essentially, like everyone there has to go to school for not to school, but they have to go into the military for like 1 or 2 years.
Yep.
Like it doesn't matter who you are.
Nope.
If you're male, female, you're rich, poor, everyone goes. And it kind of was just read the book. It's a really good book, and it's all about tech, but it's also about culture, and it's about military. It's really interesting.
It's cool because then they leave the IDF, and they've been trained, and if that's where they've been trained for various skills, right? And also, it just breeds startups too, because you have guys or girls too that are trained in computer science and come out of the IDF, and they go make a startup with their squadron or whatever it was, right? And and also they build things internationally there from day one, because I know Israel's not a big enough nation to support like an individual startup on its own. So things are internationalized from the default. They think globally. It's kind of a whole different feel. It's cool. I'm excited for my trip. It should be a fun time. Tel Aviv is also pretty dope as a place to
Tel
hang.
Aviv is the best.
It's pretty tight.
And
then
there's a good time there.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited.
They have bottle service for like $150.
Oh my god, yeah. So we were in Paris. Okay, so club story from Jared. We were in Paris, and I was with Bacon, and we're going out, and we go to this cool bar called Lulu White. And
before you blow up Bacon's spot, realize like a couple hundred people are going to listen to this.
All right, maybe we won't be with Bacon. I'm not going to blow up his spot. I'm just commenting on the pricing of certain things. So we get to this. We meet some friends, or we make friends actually at this bar, and then we go. I asked the bartender at this bar, and she was like, "Where is a cool place? Like we want to go out to some sort of club or whatever. Like what's the deal?" She's like, "Go to this place called the Bada Boom," and we get there. We pull up, and it's me and Bacon and like these two people we met there on their honeymoon. They were American. They heard me cursing. They're like, "Oh, you're American." I was like, "Yeah, I'm American." So we became friends. We pull up to this thing. There's a huge line, like 50 people deep, and they're all like, "Oh, I guess we're not going to get in." I was like, "One moment." So we walk to the front of the line. I go to the lady in the front. And I'm just like, "So what's the deal? Can we like get a table? Like what does that cost? Like what's up?" And I say this in English. She says, she like pulls back. She goes and talks. She says some shit to someone. She comes back and she's like, how many are you? I was like, 4. She's like, how many girls? I was like, 1. Okay. Table will be €200.
What?
I was like, okay, we were gonna
You
spend.
you shook it out of your sleeve.
I was like, we were gonna
like
spend at least that. We're gonna spend at least that on drinks, anyways. So I was like, okay, sure, cool. Waltzing on in. Oh my god,
Bunch of salty Frenchmen in line looking at you. And
oh
shit.
my god, we got looks. We got so many looks.
Oh, they probably wanted to
I
kill
would have
you.
expected Paris to be more expensive than New York.
Dude, and then this club was fucking crazy.
Yeah?
I mean, it was so sick. It was very deep. I did not make many friends. The girls were not big fans of the Americans, but it was fun. Danced like an idiot. It was great, but that was ridiculous. It was like 200 euro.
Yeah,
which is a lot of money, but also just kind of not a lot of money if you think about it.
It's not a lot of money if you compare
what
it
a
to
drink
what
costs.
that act would cost in New York.
Right, exactly. That's like a $2,000 move in New York or something like that. Right. So, and I was like, I thought that was the minimum of like, that was just to get in there, and then they were gonna make me buy a bottle. That was the normal price. But no, that was actually
the bottle came with the table.
The bottle came with the table.
Yeah, it was the same thing in Israel. I was like, what the fuck?
What the fuck is this?
It's almost cheaper to fly to Paris or Tel Aviv and just party for one night and come back.
What was also crazy was that was the like American asshole price.
Yeah,
that was
bananas.
That was the American asshole price of this club. That was.
I was sitting there in Tel Aviv.
Yeah,
and it was like a club full of like 19-year-old IDF kids. And I was sitting there like
guns, with or without guns.
Without guns.
Okay, without guns.
And I was like solidly like 30 years old in the middle of this dance floor, drinking out of the vodka bottle from the table. So I talked to my one buddy who's from Israel, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing there?" He's like, "I'm coming to get you." I'm like, "No." He's like, "I'm coming." So we went out and had some dank ass bagel thing. It was sick. He pulled me out of there apparently.
Good times. Yeah, so that was my pricing story from Paris. That was great.
Noted.
Fun times. But yeah, man, it's a fun city. Really fun. Tel Aviv will be fun too. Crazy spot. Dude, there's so much tech out of Israel. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there is.
I wrote an article about consulting that got pretty popular in the last couple of months, and I wrote it like a year and a half ago, but I have a feeling, and I was talking about how much money I made. I have a feeling that Jared makes as much money as I wrote in that article in like a week or two. He just doesn't talk about it.
Not a week. But we do well for ourselves here in this particular podcast. I will say that all members of the podcast are financially safe. But that being said, there's always it's interesting. What do you think is going to happen in the next? I always wonder what do you think is going to happen in the next 3 to 4 years with that? Do we think that automation is going to make us obsolete, or it's just going to make fucking more complicated, which is my thing.
The more automation, the more need to code this automation.
I think that's true. So I think consulting is going to actually be a great game for a long time.
Absolutely.
Because there's going to be, even when whatever company is moving to GraphQL, moving to React, they're not going to be at the bleeding edge. It's just like impossible. And so they're always going to need people to help them to move to the next thing or adopt the next technology.
Dude, there's no self-driving cars in the road, and voice assistants can't even fucking cohesively speak back to you. I think that we'll be able to retire before that's a problem, personally.
Yeah, it's true. I think so. So with that, I have a feeling that our salaries are just generally going to increase dramatically, because we were at React Europe and TJ Fresh was there. Ken, oh my gosh, you would have loved.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Man.
Dude, that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, dude,
I can't should have been there for this.
Fucking should have been there, man. DJ Fresh was the man. I had dinner with him. He's so funny.
You and him would have like bonded so hard.
Dude, he told me some crazy ass stories about just like everything being a DJ. But anyways, what he also talked about during his awesome talk, which you should watch on YouTube, it was great. It was his first time speaking, so that was cool. Anyways, he talked about how there's a million job shortage in the U.S. for engineering next year. Fucking
really?
Million jobs are going to go unfilled.
So
So that's just going to crank salaries up.
You know what's crazy is, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Like we grew up with desktop computers, like fucking downloading Pamela Anderson's titties and fucking Eminem songs off of LimeWire, and hacking our computers and shit, and doing all these things. And like, yeah, like all these kids these days, they can't even fucking type.
That's true. That's
right?
so true.
They don't have the same level of computer.
They can't even
fuckery.
write cursive. They don't.
Right?
They don't. How is that going to impact their shit? Like, do you think there'll be like a golden era of like computer like nerding, or will they just be on that next level, or they will need Lego bricks for them?
I don't know. I think that generally speaking, there's not going to be as widespread of general computer competence and nerdery.
I don't know. I have to disagree with that. I see a huge push to coding and getting coding into schools and coding boot camps and like learning how to code, all this shit. It seems to be really popular right now.
Yeah, it is popular, but I mean, I think deep down it's not for everybody.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I know so many people that I've tried to teach.
I know.
And they're like, not for me.
Dude, I have friends, they're both boyfriend, girlfriend, and they're both trying to learn eventually React, but just HTML and CSS. They're going to go to boot camp. And I'm just like, guys, try out like free code camp for a little bit before you commit all this money. And I know both of them, and I think they're going to do great. But it's crazy, yo. Like, it makes you think like everybody and their mother is going to start doing this, because I think a lot of people are seeing their jobs, and they're seeing how they're seeing other jobs even that are getting replaced by automation. And I think people are really scared, to be honest.
They should be.
Really? I mean, it's true. And it's interesting that when you look at, when people say automation, they act like automation is just growing from the ground. It's an organic thing, that there's no people actually behind the automation. The automation is actually a business in it of itself. And that's what we're part of, you could say, in some sense, anyone that's a software engineer. And when you travel around the world, we were kind of in Mississippi, at least in the United States, I'm sure, we're in a situation where we're not really exposed to seeing what's actually happening in the world sometimes. And what we see are doctors and lawyers and things making, a couple of $100K. And if you're a good software engineer, you're probably making as much as them. But when you go into these other countries, like in Eastern Europe, I was in Prague, I was on a tour talking a lot about the community there. And basically, if you're a good software engineer in Prague, you're making 2 to 3x what the doctors and lawyers are making there.
That's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, and this was the same thing that I heard also in other parts of Eastern Europe. And what I also am noticing is that, at least right now, and this could be, a temporary thing, I have no idea, but the wages are going up big time over the last 5 years. I literally, and people don't like to talk numbers sometimes, and they're scared to hear numbers or talk numbers.
Let's have it out.
But I got an offer last week, $900K if I hit some type of whatever thing, but the base level was in the range of like $450K plus $150K bonus, and then $300K incentives. But basically almost $1 million. And I'm someone that didn't go to school. I'm someone that's just specialized in whatever React and doing some cloud computing over the last few years.
Yeah, So I think that's
$500,000 is very common these days.
$500,000. So my guess is that within 2 years or so, you'll see architect level, like serious high end US based engineers that are going to be like the head of front end, head of, your lead front end engineer or your lead back end engineer, like in the $600,000, $700,000 to $800,000 range.
Easy peasy,
maybe even more, with incentives to go north of $1 million. And
I also see it being distributed.
There we go.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, I don't think everybody's going to stay in San Francisco for that much longer.
Oh, yeah, no, they're moving to New York, they're moving to Denver, they're going to move elsewhere. So I was having a really interesting conversation with Haro from Algolia, and at Haro M, if you're curious, and about salaries and stuff. And it was crazy to hear that, I know this anecdotally, that a company like Facebook or even a company like Algolia they make half as much as we do in the US oftentimes. If you go to Europe, like a same software engineering job in New York or SF, maybe it's just like 150. That same gig in London or in Europe or in Paris or whatever is going to make $70,000. is going to be a $70,000 gig, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, right? But I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. About what do you guys think about changing like payouts based on where you live?
I think that's bullshit.
Exactly. I don't like it either.
You think it's bullshit?
It's an artificial thing. It's not a real thing, right? Like we're not gauging you based on how talented you are and how much value you're bringing. We're gauging you on how much we can get away with screwing you over, basically. Okay. That's the way I look at it. Because like if you're performing better in San Francisco or you're performing better in New York, that's one thing. But if you're performing equally and you're living in Thailand where your cost of living is $500 a month, that doesn't mean we should pay you $10,000, a month less or whatever, or $5,000 a month less, whatever, $1,000 a month less.
That's a very good argument.
Pay for your value. And as a company owner, I might not enjoy that, but I think that's the inevitability. I think everything when it comes to being distributed, when it comes to technology, ends up turning into the inevitable. And if you go ahead and move towards the inevitable now, you're going to go ahead and take advantage of what everyone else will end up moving to one day when they are forced to and they don't have an option,
So let me play devil's advocate. I think that we have to, when you pay someone and they're an employee, do you pay them in money or are you paying them in wealth? I mean this in the most technical definitions of money and wealth. Wealth, let's define wealth here. Wealth is the ability to manifest things that you want on command. Money is a very specific thing. Money is a store of wealth. It is transferable, it is standardized, and it is a unit of measure. This is like the technical definitions of money. In prison, cigarettes can be money. Let me explore my example even more. If you have $1 billion US in Antarctica, you have a lot of money, but you're not very wealthy. You can't really do shit because you can't spend that money in Antarctica. If you are in New York and you've got $1 billion, you've got a lot of money and you're also wealthy, right? So, wealth and money are not the same thing. Money is a proxy for wealth, but wealth is what you really want. You really want the ability to do it, to manifest shit whenever, right? So when you're paying an employee, the question that I raise is, are you paying them in money or are you actually paying them for their ability to manifest shit? And what I mean by that is, if you live in a different place, that costs different amounts. And so if your baseline is, I'm paying you to be able to do this level I'm giving you the wealth, right? To do whatever you want, but I'm giving you this level of wealth, and how you get there monetarily may differ country to country. But I'm giving you this set living style or whatever. That's my compensation package, is wealth, not money. And in that situation, then it does make a lot of sense to pay the market rate for that level of wealth wherever you are, whether that's in Antarctica, right? Let's just play pretend here, versus New York City. The things you would compensate your employee with if they were living in Antarctica or living in Manhattan would be different things, right? So that's I guess the question there is, when you think of compensation, are you compensating directly in money, in which case you're right, or are you compensating them in what fuck they can do in return for working for you, right? And I
agree with that, but I think in a free market, you're not going to be able to do that because your competition is going to come along and pay that person more than you are.
Or they're going to pay them less than you would, right? Because like you're going to pay them the market rate. You're not going to pay extra if you don't have to, right? You get the same engineer from this place for that lower price. Anyways,
I think Ken has to roll.
Yeah, I think Ken has to roll too. So let's wrap it all up. So, do we have any picks for the week?
I have a pick. Drizzly. It's an alcohol delivery app.
Drizzly.
That's right. And I get alcohol delivered to my house.
So you don't even have to go to the store.
I don't. I was going to go to the store, and then I just don't have time for that right now. So I'm going to get booze delivered.
Booze delivered. All right. That's fair. What about you, Nader?
So I guess my pick is going to be, I forgot now. Hold on, let me see here. You can go ahead, do yours.
Okay. So my pick for the week is Gerhard Richter. This dude is a visual artist, this German visual artist, and I saw a bunch of his work at the LVMH museum in Paris. This dude is on a different planetary astral plane than the rest of us. He's just got awesome shit. So one day I hope to be rich enough to buy one of his things.
So my pick of the week is Claremont Lounge. It's this place in Atlanta. It's basically this really old bar, and it's kind of a really crazy place, and you should go if you're ever in Atlanta. I haven't been there in a couple of years, but I just had a discussion with someone, and they were asking what's a unique place to go, and I said the Claremont Lounge. And I don't really want to spoil it for you, so just do some research or just go there and show up and have a good time.
Lit. Word. All right. Well, Nader, thanks for coming along, man. Appreciate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
It's been real. How can people follow you and get connected?
I'm Dabit3 on Twitter, Medium, and GitHub. DABIT and the number 3.
Medium this week. Bad week.
Oh yeah. I'm about to pull off a Medium, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like whack, right? So they lost Free Code Camp. They lost Hacker Noon. Did they lose Hacker Noon?
Yep.
Damn. Brutal. Anyway.
Yeah, they defaulted to a paywall, and I don't know how long this has been going on, but I tried to post there a few weeks ago, and I noticed this. Basically, if you post, you automatically are put behind the paywall. You have to opt out of it. So I think a lot of people got confused, and they've been posting just like they have been, but they didn't realize that they're actually posting now behind a paywall. So I think until they change that, it's going to be hard for me to continue using it, honestly.
Yeah,
and I understand that a company needs to make money, but I feel like they could have done it in a maybe a different way.
Yeah. Good things never last, right? It was cool. I just think it's over. But anyways, thanks for hanging. And Ken seems like he's left, so we'll sign off for Ken. So, thanks for hanging out. What's your next conference? Are you doing anything? You're traveling a lot, right?
I'm going to NodeConf Netherlands next week. I'll be at React Norway the week after that. And I got a bunch of other conferences like React India. I'm going to be doing the first GraphQL Asia meetup in Hong Kong later this year, ReactiveConf. So just follow me on Twitter. I'll be tweeting about all that stuff. Word.
Well, thanks again. And for the Undefined podcast, I'm Jared Palmer. He's Ken Wheeler. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. If you're interested, follow us on Twitter at TheUndefined.io or check out our corner of the internet at undefined.fm. We'll see you next time. Peace.